What up?
Woo! Well, I am scared to do the show today, my friend, because as you know, we are the biggest mushers that have ever existed on the face of planet Earth. And every time we start this show, the market is ramping. And by the time we are halfway through talking, it has reversed in demonic and dramatic fashion. And right now, my friend, I will tell you, this market is ramping. We are, but you wanted some info? Roblox added daily active user numbers, 57.8 million. You want to talk about the metaverse a little bit?
Wow, that's huge.
57.
That's huge. I mean, I could pull some stuff up because we're going to do some metaverse conversations. GM Sandman, what's going on, man? The numbers that Roblox does is actually staggering in terms of daily active users, in terms of development on the platform, in terms of the use of their Robux. I think it's gonna be something that's around for a long time.
Yeah, and it's a stark contrast to some reports we saw last week for Decentraland, of which they have 30 daily active users. Now those numbers were they were a little exaggerated and skewed. As you know, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics, but this is still a stark contrast when you look at the market cap of something like Decentraland, which at best has maybe 300 daily users on a daily basis, compared to Roblox, which, holy shit, if anything on Ethereum had that many people using it, everybody listening to this show would be rich. Anything. It doesn't even matter what protocol it would be. Ethereum would be $50,000 a coin. I mean, it's absolutely staggering numbers. The metaverse already exists. Yeah, I think what people are missing here is that the metaverse isn't about getting more digital. This is the misimpression, is that we are all becoming more digital. That's what the metaverse is going to be. I will argue the metaverse will be a lot less digital than most people listening to this thing.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second, but you've always been a big proponent of augmented reality over virtual reality. I think there's some merit in that. I can see the bull case for virtual reality and these metaverses, but I also fully agree with you that the metaverse has existed for quite some time. We are just headed towards the coalescence of all metaverses. Eventually, the demand for the singular one that's connected to all of them is going to be a thing. Much like maybe you could argue the internet connected video games, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're on some stuff here.
Like people big brains in this industry will regularly talk about how, look, video game companies have been creating these things you call metaverses for a long time. And there's actually some, best standards and practices at this point. And a lot of them trust these companies to figure it out before Web3 natives, which I think it's wrong, mainly because they're viewing it through the lens of the metaverse is going to be this digital place everybody hangs out. I will fade that view all day. And I can get there. Yeah. And if that's the case, let's say old FMC is wrong and we all plug in, in the future and we just lay in these chairs and we play, whatever it is, then yeah, these guys are right. But I think it's
I think that's what it'll be.
You think we're on what time curve? Like, you think within 30 years we're all just going to be laying in a chair plugged into a headset and very little physical movement, or is this like 1,000-year timeline?
So there was an interesting conversation about, I would say somewhere in between 30 and 1,000 years, but
well, that's a good
well, idea. Okay. So the ability, and this is going like way more far in the future, but like the ability to actually tap into your own neural network, right? The
Yeah.
ability to directly input signals so that you can actually perceive, it's not, you're not wearing a glasses, like as far as your brain is concerned, the experience is real. You can feel things, you can touch things, you can move things, even though it's in a digital, it's the matrix essentially, right? um but the interesting thing is the need and the desire to explore physically is almost non-existent at that point. And they were basically saying like the technology to tap into something like that will probably happen sooner than our ability to reasonably travel interstellar physically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what they're saying is, why would we ever send humans to these places when we could send probes to go analyze the entire thing, and then you could go there in the digital sense, right?
Yeah. Well, I exactly. I think
Because
that.
if
Yeah.
your neural network is perceiving everything the same way you would in the real world, is it not just real?
Yeah. Exactly.
Weird conversation. This is not, this is you're getting
Well,
into
I do. I think everything in that sense is circular, right? Like infinity is zero.
mm,
Okay. If the concept of infinity is real, which most scientists and mathematicians believe, infinity is the same thing as nothing because it is everything. Everything is nothing. Like mathematically, that is true. I know it's a mind fuck, and it's a mind fuck because
mm.
most human beings can't even conceptualize nothing,
I saw
right?
something
What
the
is
other day that was like an infinite amount of $1 bills is worth the same as an infinite amount of $20 bills.
right? Exactly. Like there's a great documentary for anybody who wants to go check it out on Netflix right now on the number infinity. They interview
Mm.
mathematicians and this because again, infinity is a mathematical concept, but it's also a philosophical concept because we all use these words regularly, but defining nothing or defining everything like infinite it really it messes with the mind. And
It does.
I do think it plays back into though what we're talking about here. Like what are humans building? We're probably building the next version of us, and consumerism is what drives that. I know people are against it and materialism is bad, but believe it or not, your
Well,
innate sense to want to buy shit drives the human race forward.
you're right about the fact that we're trying to build the next version of us, because I mean, our world, our society was built on the back of our own labor and our own ability to actually um, design and build things to do the work for us. And now we're designing things to do the thinking for us, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like you're 100% right. Let's jump into the show. I know we don't normally always do the formal announcement, but it is October 17th. Man, more than halfway through October, episode 154. And congratulations, Free Market. It is our second consecutive show in a row being
Woo!
back. So we're looking forward to keeping that number going up too. So we'll say it's 154 and episode 2 simultaneously. We got a pretty chill show going on for you today. We're going to talk about the metaverse. We already did, but specifically Apple's version of the metaverse. They're looking like they're starting to get poised into it too. And if you want any reasons to get bullish on crypto, on Web3, and all of that stuff, Apple jumping into the game along with Meta, doing their thing, and there's some funny conversation going on with that too. Uh, why not? Why not start to get bullish? All of these, and we were talking about it on the pre-show. All of these things signal the fact that while the markets are down, these companies are still staking their claim. That was different than 2017, 2018. When everything was going down, then everyone was like, they were doing the NFT thing now. They were like, oh, we were just looking at it. We weren't really that serious about it. Now it's just full steam ahead. And say what you want about the markets, everything's down. Oh, maybe not today. Let's get into that. We are looking at crypto, Bitcoin and ETH, not doing a whole lot over the weekend, kind of just staying within a pretty tight range. Actually, ETH is starting to go up a little bit, 4% on the day, 2.5% for Bitcoin. Bitcoin fighting with that 20K mark as it has been for a little while. We briefly broke through it. I think we were on the show last time. And then by the end of the show, as you said, everything went to absolute shit. ETH just over $1,300 right now. But it seems like we're just trying to break out of this range one way or another. S&P right now is up about 2.3%. NASDAQ going on a run, 3% right now. And
another 2%, and it will trip the circuit breakers, and we will be limit up. They will close the market to prevent algorithms from creating a positive feedback loop and accidentally jacking the NASDAQ 5,000 in a day.
Do they pause it when it goes up too fast?
Yeah, 5%. If the market goes up 5% before 11 a.m., it will trip a circuit breaker and they'll close it down so people don't get it's not for you and me. It's so bank executives can get into a room and go, shit, should we turn off algorithm 1 before it comes sentient and tanks the entire company? Because the market's doing so. Because we know the majority of market volume now is algorithms, right? It's not humans. Yeah, there are still humans writing. There's still humans doing things. But the circuit breakers exist because after the 1987 crash, which was largely blamed on the advent of computers, finally seeing mass adoption within the finance industry and the ability for an algorithm to create a negative feedback loop and tank the market. Well, it works in the opposite direction as well. There's limit down is the same thing. If we go down 5% within the first hour and a half of the market, they will close it to make sure algorithms don't artificially send us to zero because it can accidentally put a very large institution out of business. So again, whatever, we got into some markets there, but
I like how you can accidentally put a very large institution out of business. Like,
look, everyone heard of the flash crash a few years ago, but let's just look at what happened. We talked about it on Friday. I'm going to briefly summarize it because it's the most important thing that has happened in the market in months. We got a hot inflation number, and the market has now rallied dramatically off of that. That gives you a lot more information than had we gotten a soft inflation number. We know the market would have rallied on a soft inflation number, but after the dust settled, people would have been like, well, the Fed still isn't changing anything. It doesn't make a trend. What are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And the market would have likely sold off very hard. This was the opposite. You got a hot number, which by all measure should have tanked everything to new lows. And not only did the market not make new lows, it had its largest intraday reversal in 5 years. And that is a very good sign that we've run out of sellers. Okay. People talk about priced in all the time, and it's a constant debate in markets. So is this priced in? Is the merge priced in? Is high inflation priced in? Is 4% bonds priced? You know something is priced in, not when the news changes. It's when you continue to get bad news, but all of a sudden assets start behaving differently. Correlations start to break down. People start to get confused as bad news becomes good news in a sense because the market starts to rally off these things. That's what you're seeing right now. All year, that was the strongest bullish signal we've gotten was last week. Then Friday came and we kind of tanked. We gave back a lot of those gains. People were like, oh, same old bull market. Same old bear market. Every pop is sold. Can't hold a gain. And then over the weekend, crypto started to drift lower. ETH fell under 1,300 again. Bitcoin was pulling back. Your latest market darlings like Matic and XRP all tanked. And it was like, oh man, is this just going to be that? And then, hey, Globex open. Markets instantly were up. Coins actually began front running it a couple hours before that, and there has been great continuation this morning. We're back at the highs that we made on Thursday. This market looks very bullish here, and I want to emphasize, it does not mean the bear market is over. And the biggest concept this year that could have made you money is the idea of economic lag. Okay. People saw high inflation coming since the middle of last year, yet markets continued to go higher. Had you shorted, you got put to zero. Then, when inflation started rearing its ugly head, markets tanked. And by May, the data was getting better. It is very obvious in most metrics that inflation has peaked. But we continued to get bad numbers. And why? Because there is a lag in economic data translating to the headline numbers. Now, you can get frustrated and say, oh, the market isn't seeing the truth. Don't they see inflation has peaked? Well, you're not supposed to tell the market what to do. You're supposed to observe what it's doing and then adjust to it. The market has a lag. Economic data lags. And now all the good data we've actually been getting for 4 months, which has not translated to the headline releases, is going to start translated to that. The next 4 to 6 months, you're going to see improving inflation data. You're going to see jobs, which continue to hold steady. Okay. And people are going to be like, wow, did the Fed actually engineer a soft landing? Is everything actually great? Well, no, because the bad stuff is now has to take 6 months to filter through as well.
Yeah.
What's the bad stuff? 4% interest rates.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been talking to some people that have like recently bought houses when interest rates were low, but they were on variable rates, and now all of a sudden their mortgage is getting real expensive, right? And you can stomach that, you can hold on to that for a while for sure, but I don't know if this is kind of where you're going with it in like a real world sense, but like eventually that starts to chew you up a little bit.
Well, here's how markets trick you, okay? We have been getting good data, high frequency data under the surface saying peak inflation for months. Had you bet on that and said, well, let's be bullish, you got killed. Just like the guy who bet on high inflation last summer. You got killed. Well, now the same thing's going to happen to bears. You're going to get all this bullish data over the next 6 months. It's going to give cover for the markets to rally. It's going to be so good looking. People are going to go, hey, wow, maybe we did beat it. You're going to trick the bulls again. And then all of a sudden, the market is going to start tanking on good headline. We're going to start getting great headline data by next summer. And guess what? The market's going to start tanking because earnings on the S&P 500, the companies, the actual things that should be moving stocks, those are going to finally be feeling the effects of interest rates having gone up 8x in the last year. Okay, that makes a difference. The thing is, there's a lag. Understanding where that lag is how you beat markets, because now next summer, next spring, when everyone's getting bullish, everyone listening here is going to start to get bearish because you know that lag is finally going to come through. I think we're going to double dip. I don't think we're going to see new lows on coins. I'll make a bold prediction and say you'll never see triple digit ETH again. But I do think, let's say ETH is at 1,700, 2K next spring or early summer. I think you'll see us right back down at 12, 1,300. And the same thing with the S&P. I think the S&P is going to fall back to 3,400. Even if we get as high as 44, 4,600 over the next 6 months, it's going to feel bullish. And I'm going to be bullish. And there are going to be things where you go, hey, man, maybe we did kind of beat this period we thought was going to, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a double dip next year. For now, things look very bullish. And I do think you have clear runway for a few months. So look for those bullish theses.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know we talk about this a lot, but we've had no shortage of bullish news on companies entering into crypto, right? We just saw Google starting to accept Bitcoin and Ethereum, I believe, for their cloud services, payments and whatnot, right? Like, and to me, it's just like, what more do you need to know when a company like that, who obviously has a huge track record of being incredibly profitable, is more than willing to accept your crypto when it's dead, right? Here, you could pay for our services using this dead asset. Don't want it anymore? We'll gladly take it off your hands. And why? You know, that $100 payment, they fully expect to be $1,000 in a couple of years, right? Like they're fine. They can wait that out. They can stay solvent and resolved way longer than most people can. And this is not a short-term bet for them. They're not just turning this on and off at a whim and saying, let's just try this out. I know some companies have done that, but you know, BlackRock, Google, all of these big companies getting into the fold they're not doing that in the midst of a bear market if they think this stuff is going to zero, right?
Well, and think about this. Coinbase offers a debit card that will pay you back a percentage of what you buy stuff with in crypto. That's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that 2% cash back is going to be 20 eventually, right?
And you know, they give you the option of getting it back in Matic as an example. So if you believe in the L2 Polygon story there, you get 1% back of everything you spend in Matic. They'll even give you 4%. Well, they'll give you 4% if you get it back in Stellar Lumens. What the fuck is a Stellar Lumen?
Stellar Lumens have been around for a long time too.
Are they
is it a XLM, I think.
Coin?
What's that? No.
It's a stable? No,
it was another one of those L1 blockchains that was like, again, 2017, going to change the world, the next Ethereum, blah, blah, blah.
They must have a lot of it. They're willing to pay you 4% back.
Well, yeah, there you go. That maybe that should be a sign too on how bullish Coinbase is on something, how much they're willing to give up of it. But yeah, I mean, I remember that going through its moment of like, this is the next big thing. I mean, it's still sitting in the top 30 of crypto market cap in terms of market cap, but I believe it was a top 10 coin for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. Here's my biggest question. Are we going to see another L1 cycle? Or is the next cycle going to be about stuff built on the exist? Like, do we need anything more than Bitcoin, ETH, Sol? Fine. Throw Sol, AVAX, and whatever other L1 that exists still. Do we need anything more than that? Or is it going to be L2s, L3s, ZK rollups? Is that going to be the next bull? Or are we just going to
draw some kind of like real life? I'm trying to draw some other kind of parallel to like how these things work and what we've seen in the past. Like, okay, cars came out. It wasn't just Ford, right? Like, Ford kind of was the first to mass produce it, but it wasn't, you know, the only one that ended up being successful. Like, you know, but at the same time, if you want to consider an L1 more like roads, right? Like, I don't know, roads, they're always building new ones, but roads, they kind of figured out what works with roads, and roads have always stayed the same. So maybe if ETH is the road, like, yeah, this is good to drive on. Let's just stick with this. I don't know. I'm trying to get there in my mind, but I don't know.
I would argue cars are a fabulous analogy, okay? Because they are
the most kind of technology. They all do things a little bit differently, and people have.
But the main point. The main point is that there has been no major innovation in cars since they existed. Regardless of making them faster, better, that's what your phone does every year too. There has been no, even Tesla, okay, which is the biggest revolution in cars. Anybody from the 1920s who saw a Model T would recognize the Tesla as a car. There has been no dramatic change.
Great point, actually. You're right.
Yeah,
they would have no idea what the fuck a cell phone is. Like, if I just like, what do you think this does? They'd be like, oh,
right. So interesting. Think about L1s that way. Are any of these L1s doing anything dramatically different than the ones that we had originally? Has anyone come up with anything more innovative than the smart contract itself?
It just seems to be varying levels and degrees of decentralization, security, speed, throughput, right? But like at its same core, like cars are like that too. It can hold more people. It can drive faster. It's, you know, has a smoother ride.
That's where I applaud the Cybertruck. I know a lot of people make fun of it. I feel like it was at least like the first, like somewhat reimagining of the car, and it's still. You'd still recognize it as a
one that they're putting into production for sure.
Right.
I've seen some pretty wild concept cars.
Someone is going to think outside of the box with the car. I don't know if it's going to be Tesla or Apple or a company like Rivian or a small one we've never heard of, but I think cars are ripe for innovation. But I think the analogy is so perfect because I expect L1s to be like that for a long time.
I think there's nothing self-driving, and then the flying is the iterations, right?
Right. I mean,
and the idea flying cars will never exist if they can't drive themselves, because believe me, they are not trusting human error in in everyday flight.
Yeah, something as simple as everybody still sits the same way and faces like just little things like that.
Well, now
That
I'm just getting
if
car
we
sick. Don't do that.
well, if
Don't
we
change the
had
seats.
self
You don't need that.
right, well, there are limitations that will, that innovation can overcome if people would think outside of the box. I think they will. I do want to shout out Cowabunga.
Yeah.
I'll say this, my friend. I would not be surprised if we see new lows. I don't. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it would. It wouldn't be the biggest shock to me. I'm not. I'm not like. Again, I think it's going to be a violent double dip next year, and anything could happen in that moment. But I think whereas this year's dip was about unknowns in a way, like, markets hate what markets really hate is confusion. It's less that they hate bad, it's more that they hate confusion and unknown. Next year's pullback is going to be about, okay, we know why we need to pull back because earnings on companies have to come down dramatically and we need to reprice PE and but there's not going to be any unknowns. In fact, the underlying thing is going to be now we can see through the high frequency data, inflation was transient. Interest rates are going to go down on their own naturally. And all of a sudden, the reason to buy companies is going to be because genuine, organic, non-zero rate inspired growth is back. I mean, I think I said the whole time is that this economy's resilience has been incredible. And that's been one of the underlying themes here. So I think that's what's going to be different about next year's pullback is it's going to be about pricing in the bad things we know versus this year's, which was like, oh shit, what the hell is happening? Transient, not transient, war, not war. It was a year of confusion. Next year will be a year of kind of mechanical repricing, in my opinion.
All right, let's get into the metaverse kind of discussion that we have lined up here. We talked about at the beginning of the show, Apple kind of kicking it off. I want to just talk about, how we were saying that the metaverse has already existed. And I always, frame this through the lens of my son's eyes about, Fortnite going to a Travis Scott concert. He talks about these like real experiences, with his friends and whatnot. They log on to this stuff. They do hang out with it. Roblox, not that this is a stocks show, is up 15%. So if you want to talk about Metaverse is doing well, that is one that is killing it. We also mentioned that Decentraland, there was that report that had like 30 daily active users. Not as encouraging as Roblox adding 58 million. But again, it's that idea that gets through. Honestly, I've said this before. I really do believe that the other side is going to be the Bored Apes version of Roblox, of a platform in which people can develop their own areas, their own mini metaverses, and they're all interoperable with each other. And that's one of the reasons why I continue to be bullish on ApeCoin as kind of just the powering token of that. Roblox's monetization comes from their Robux, right? Which powers boosts, powers buying the cosmetics, buying all kinds of stuff in that game that can all be used in the different little ecosystems. And if you use that Robux in one of those little ecosystems, the developer, of which it's free to develop and build on, gets a cut of that participation. To me, I mean, it fits so beautifully with something like Ape and ApeCoin that it's hard for me to believe that that's not something that they're doing. Let's get into this article, though, where it's Apple in the metaverse. Apple is headed towards their own towards a metaverse. I think the big debate right now is it their own metaverse, or are they going to follow in what Mark Zuckerberg and Meta is doing or saying they're doing in this big open world interoperability thing? And I got to believe that with Apple's business model, and it might be the smart move for them, is that it will be kind of their own existence. But if they do this, and I believe that this is what Ashtray was referring to earlier on, where he said the amount of new people who will onboard is insane. Yeah, I mean, if you have an Apple account, all of a sudden you're just eligible to be in there. You can turn it on. I agree, but free market came up with kind of a good statement too. I think you said the metaverse is a lot less digital than you think. Is that how you worded it?
Yes. Yeah.
And so I do think that at least step one, and this is a sentiment you've said time and time and time again, will be that augmented reality, the marriage of physical and digital, being able to see things in the real world with augmented reality glasses. Google Glass tried this a long time ago, and it was a huge flop because, frankly, they looked stupid. Right? Like they just looked dumb. I never liked wearing those big Bluetooth headsets that people were rocking forever. I barely even like wearing my Bose ones, even though they're great and a little more subtle. Apple has this knack to just make things new that are very acceptable for people to do out in public. Because as much as everybody hated Bluetooth headsets, everybody rocks those fucking AirPods, right?
And they were made fun of originally. Like when they first came out, people were like, "Those look so stupid. They stick out of your ear without the wire."
Right. They look like Q-tips sticking out of your ear or
Right,
something.
right.
But they have stood the test of time, whereas the original Bluetooth headsets, which have been around forever, have not. And why? Because Apple has that ability to penetrate modern pop culture and make new innovative technology acceptable. I laughed for a long time because they weren't the first person to do a smartphone, but they were the first person to make it cool. People had flip phones, people had phones with keyboards on it, people had Blackberries all of that time. Apple made it so that everyone wanted one of those. And especially then, but it holds true now. People didn't have cell phones, they didn't have smartphones, they had iPhones. They were very specific to refer to it as an iPhone, right?
Yep.
So if Google can make augmented reality glasses that look cool and people want to actually wear, like a Ray-Ban or something like that,
Well, they definitely will.
game
Just
on.
gotta wait for Apple to design them first.
100%. So what do you? I mean, you're one of the biggest Apple maxis I know. Like, hit me.
Yeah, there's a lot to break down here. So, Apple, we've known for a long time, has been rumored to be getting into these headsets. Now, there's two headsets in development. The one that is slated for next year is the virtual reality headset. It will likely be large. This is not something you'll wear outside of your house. What is pictured there is an artist rendering. It is not what Apple will release. Now, as far as virtual reality headsets go, do I think this will be the best looking one? Yes. Is it what is going to bring the metaverse into the forefront of daily life? No, that would be their augmented reality glasses, which are slated for 2025 at the earliest. And that may be optimistic given the type of technology you would need to make the glasses not look clunky or like some sort of strange looking apparatus on your head versus stylish sunglasses. There's been a misnomer for decades of what Apple actually does. You'll hear things like, since Steve Jobs passed away, Apple can't innovate anymore. They're not innovating. Where's the innovation? Apple has never really invented anything. All that Apple is at its core is a design company. And they're one of the best in the world, evident by being the most profitable tech company on the planet. Now,
I think you could get behind that statement a little bit, though.
Yeah. Now, that's not to discount their technology. Why were AirPods so universally accepted? Because it was the first Bluetooth headset that worked. The W1 chip was a revelation. I had owned a ton of them before that. They were all spotty. It was all terrible. Apple invented their own protocols that used a combination of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to actually make them viable. And you now see that with their silicon, with their new computer chips, which are by far the best in the industry. So Apple combines great design with very, very massive innovation on the inside. But what is profound here is going to be whether Apple can make augmented reality something for the masses. I think we constantly latch on to new technologies. Voice assistants is a great example. Alexas and Siris and Google Nows. We may all use them, but if we remember when they first came out, we thought it was going to be we thought the movie Her was right around the corner, and you weren't even going to you type on your screen much. It was just going to be you talking to the computer, and it was going to become this, this thing. But people found that voice is actually inefficient for a lot of things. You can get a lot of types of information faster with your thumbs than you can asking something and waiting for a traditional speaking response. This is going to be the same with the metaverse. When the metaverse first comes out, you'll see all these people telling you this is going to be again, what is the metaverse? When Apple or when Facebook or when Amazon releases a mass version of what they call the metaverse, you're going to see the same type of speculation you saw with voice assistants. I think it's misplaced. I think that the metaverse is going to be a lot more about turning the physical world digital than turning the digital world into something that we exist in most of the time. So Beeple just opened a gallery he is opening a studio / gallery in New York to quote unquote display, to bring NFTs into the physical world. Okay. While his studio and gallery is obviously going to be very specific to Beeple's work and whatever it is, I think his statement is absolutely profound. And it's something I've been saying for years now, is that hardware is the next big evolution in NFTs, right? Talked about a lot of times on this show how you go and buy $1 million autoglyph or $1 million Fidenza, and the best way to show it to someone is on your phone. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I know that some digital frames exist, and there are people starting to move in that direction, whether it's Tag Heuer with their NFT smartwatch, or people use Apple smartwatch for similar things. Once we can finally bring the digital into the real world, that's going to be the metaverse. And it's going to be things like the augmented reality glasses, which are coming years from now. These aren't going to be out for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. That's when I think you see the real metaverse assets that Web3 has been creating for a long time finally leveraged into the masses.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think it is we're going to have that marriage first before we start to see more of a transition to like a purely digital metaverse. But I actually Zuckerberg was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. It was really interesting to just hear about all of the different challenges that go into not only augmented reality but pure virtual reality to make it more like tenable and more bearable to actually be in. And just how much of that technology it's just more of a matter of time and money to get it to scale down to the point where you're not wearing these huge fucking goggles, but more of something like that you'd be comfortable wearing out in public, right?
Yep.
And that really is the limiting factor. So it's kind of funny. And again, I'm not a meta apologist in any way, shape, or form, but you do kind of have to respect Mark Zuckerberg's ability to envision what he thinks the future will be. I don't even care if you agree with it or not. He does have a very big scope in his mind when he talks about these things. But I find it hilarious that like these articles always pop up because it's, after $177 billion in investment, why do metaverse graphics still suck? And it's not really about the graphics, right? Like, I think that this is the big point, is that it's about building the framework and the fundamental thing. So whether or not you like that Meta is doing it or all of these other companies are doing it, graphics is something that's very easy to scale up quickly. Most game development doesn't, like a AAA game. We saw the Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks. Everyone went, that's what it looks like? Well, yeah, because they're not building you don't start with the graphics first and then build the world around it. You build the world and the gameplay and the experience first, and then you slap the graphics on it. You don't put a coat of paint on the drywall before you put it up in your house, right? Like, you build the fucking house and then you paint it. And it's just, it's so easy to like pan all of these things of like, oh, Decentraland is worth this much, but they only have this many daily active users. Yeah, because they're building it. Meta, same thing. Sandbox, same thing, right? So, I mean, it's funny, but it'll just be all of these iterations, and then all of a sudden, everyone's using it just like they use Fortnite because Fortnite did the same thing. The graphics sucked while they were building it, but they put out a good use case for that ecosystem. People liked it, and now they exist in it all of the time, right? So, augmented reality, step one. VR step two. I think that's the key. So to tie it all up though, like what do you think Apple's business model is going to be surrounding this? Do you think that they are going to keep it like walled garden or whatever they call it?
Nope. I think that I don't think Apple is going to build their own digital metaverse. I think there will be some very basic communication things that just build out your text messenger, your FaceTime, your blah, blah, blah. But this isn't going to be Apple trying to build a game or a metaverse. None of that. Apple will release some very basic apps the same way that they release things like Pages or blah, 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 blah. That little memoji thing that you can do on the phone. Those type of things they will release. They will not be building any type of complicated app or metaverse, in my opinion. I don't think that's what Apple does. Apple will allow developers to make the fun applications that you use on your phone. They create the hardware. So that is, I definitely don't see them make it. I don't see them competing with a Decentraland or other side. I would expect them to incorporate those things, not compete with them.
Well, and I mean, Apple's probably licking their chops at the idea that everybody that wants to buy a digital version of a Nike shoe, they get to take whatever their percentage is going to be at the time, right? And Nike is more than happy to let Apple onboard every single user that they have to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, and I do think that Apple's models will change by then as well. As the amount of money Apple is pulling in from apps becomes a smaller portion of their services revenue every quarter. I think in the future, Apple's going to make a lot more money from Apple Pay and the transactions and the money that they make from that than they do from taxing app developers. Apple is creating other avenues of revenue, but something that should never be discounted is the majority of Apple's revenue comes from hardware. It's where they excel at. It's their proficiency, and I would expect them to continue to do that as opposed to tax applications, which is becoming a more and more controversial topic for them. And, Apple's eventually going to go, look, it's not worth the headache.
Have they budged on the 30% yet, though? The 30% is fucking steep.
Say that again? Oh, yeah. I mean, all these legacy models, you told me about Twitch's model on the last show. That's
they're 50%. Yeah,
that's insane. 50-50? Holy moly. Like, that leaves so much room for disrupt. Like,
yeah. It's not like OpenSea's 2.5% where people are like, well, we could do 2. Like,
they're not even making a competitor think. You don't even have to just clone it and charge a small. You don't even have to do anything. Clone it and charge a smaller percentage.
Well, I mean, that's the value of their moat, though, right? They can do it until a legitimate competitor comes along, and then they can just type in one line of code and change that to 25%, 20%.
Well, let's be honest. They're talent agents. That's really what they are, because it is only the talent that signs with them that makes that 50% viable. So these guys are talent agents, a la Hollywood.
Let's talk about, we talked about this on Friday's show, but Valhalla's, I guess, quote unquote, little experiment to gauge interest seemed to go off pretty successfully. The pre-sale period ended on the weekend, and they finished with just over 16,000 pre-sale bids. So, I mean, if you want any confirmation that Valhalla is going to be hotly contested. There's one, but hey, maybe NFT is not as dead as we thought. Still a lot of participants and people going after these things. Still a lot of debate on where their price is going to land. These, of course, you were bidding on at 0.25 ETH, and now the conversation has become, well, if they had 16,000 bids at 0.25 ETH, what can they charge? What should they charge? Being a company that has already raised venture capitalist funds and has basically said this mint is not something that we are using to raise capital with. We have that already. I don't know. What do you take away from all of this?
I take away that they potentially raised $25 million in a bear market. Like that's pretty amazing. I don't think it's a bear market in the traditional sense. I think that people were sick and tired of the old meta, and people like to pretend there's a new meta every. No, the meta is mint this for the blah, 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 blah. When there is something interesting, something innovative, the money's there. People just don't want the same shit they've been force fed for 9 months or 10 months or however long it is. So I am, as we know, my 3 bullish projects coming up, and there's a few other people have pointed out to me I have to research, but Meme Land, Valhalla, and Ether. And I continue to be impressed by Valhalla. This makes me think the hype is a lot more. I was questioning on Friday, is it all just manufactured by this application process? Is there any? I think this is obviously where there is smoke, there is fire, and there is smoke here.
Yeah, they seem to also really be hitting their, this is the wrong Twitter, I gotcha. Really hitting their stride with like the marketing. They're getting a lot of these tournaments going and partnerships. I mean, they just gave away $10,000 for a Fall Guys tournament that they streamed, and it seemed to be pretty damn successful. And this is going to be, ironically, they streamed it on Twitch, but this is going to be, I just think that they're really, I think they're really getting the niche, the hole in the market that needs to be filled, right? Like, I think that if they're successful, the people that they're bringing together and merging, gamers, Web3, a revenue generating business, I think it's going to be very, very powerful. I mean, that industry is just so gigantic that even a small share of it is going to be worth a lot. So excited to see that go down. But yeah, as you said, I mean, 16,000 pre-sale bids. It's that goes well beyond just the simple application process. There is a very, very real interest for this, and I want to know how this is all going to go down, though. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what their price is going to be, what it should be, and how they're going to do that without pissing people off. Or does it even matter?
Are these distributed before the mint?
Well, they're vested regardless, right?
No, so because what would be, see, if this was me, like I said, my instinct last week was this is a price discovery operation. I would let these NFTs, these people, go live on OpenSea and see what price they get to.
No, I don't like it. Don't like it. Nope. I just don't think that they need to do price discovery. That's not what they're trying to achieve right now.
Okay. Look, if they do that, they have the chance of creating a FOMO cycle. I love FOMO cycles. I love bubbles. I run towards them as fast as I can. Someone goes,
would you feel this way if you didn't have pre-sale? Or not pre-sale.
No, but getting pre-sale in this thing is super easy. You just got to ask people, right? There's nothing, you don't have to do anything here. Well, do they even reject people? Here's my question. Are they reading these things? I want to know. I want to know if they're reading.
Yeah, I mean, they say that they have people like scouring through all of it.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't verify that.
did anyone out there get rejected is a good question for me, and I would want to know some details, like when did you
like full on, like you got the notice that like sorry,
no,
you're
you wouldn't
not
get a
in.
notice. No. It's not that you get a notice. I just want to know if there are people who applied who did not get the
Yes,
acceptance.
there are. Yeah.
And I will caution everybody.
Drip Call hasn't yet,
Oh,
at least.
oh, really? Because I know
Yeah.
does Drip have a Twitter that he uses regularly?
I don't know. I don't know if he put it. He might have applied under like AlphaMint or something too.
If I were running a project like this, I would just have a bot that cross-checked it to make sure the Twitter's been active for whatever 6 months, and it's not just people, trying to register multiple wallets or whatever. That would be my. I don't know if they are like literally trying to build a special community of certain, that's what they're presenting here, right? They ask you a lot of like questions about who you are and what you do within gaming and NFTs. Are they trying to actually build a community, or is it just a vetting process to prevent bots and people from double, stacking or triple stacking? The cynic in me wants to say it's just a triple stacking prevention thing, and I don't even know how we got here. I'll just say that I think that the hype is a lot more legit than I thought last week. It's not just based on this application process. It's that people are willing to put some real money into this project already.
So let's say percentage of hype with 100% being Moonbirds.
Percentage of hype with 100% being Moonbird. I have to say 50%. Moonbirds almost felt like it transcended, some news organizations that weren't even crypto. Will this do that? I don't know what marketing they have planned closer to Mint. Is it that yet? I don't think so. They don't have like
No, I don't think it is either. That's why I asked as a percentage.
50% maybe for now, which is probably really good, right? Like I would say most projects don't have 5% the hype. That
the market was a lot more exciting when Moonbirds dropped too. Although it was on the way down.
It was. It was the thing like, oh, maybe we're back. Look at Moonbirds.
Yeah. Just pulled more liquidity out of the market.
Well, and
help with that.
It just lends credence to the theory that this isn't a bear market like we know them. Because what you saw during the last cycle wasn't just like an NFT pump. It was the creation of a new market, of a new culture. I mean, that's not just going to like die, during something was created. So it's just, this isn't like NFTs, you don't get any pumps. There's nobody trading on open, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing compared to 2017, 18, 19. Now, you could say there wasn't even a real NFT market back then. So how can you call it a bear market? True, but this bear market has a lot more action than those, I guess, what do you want to call them, lean years in between like crypto kitties and punks being. So it's
specifically NFTs. Yeah. Like there was not a lot going on during that time. That's why whenever I see like, you only see a few of those, like this NFT dates back to 2018. Like, and it's just like, whoa, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
nobody's going to be surprised in the future when you do like, well, this is a 2021 NFT. Like, sure, it's probably going to be important as like the beginning of the revolution or whatever you want to call it. But like, yeah.
Well, I talk about people's hidden folders that are going to surprise the shit out of them in the future. I don't think it's going to be next cycle. I think you're going to have to wait till like 2028. When we're two cycles, another couple cycles away, and people are able to look 7 years back and go, holy shit, 2021 NFTs, like that was the year NFTs became a thing, right?
Bear market bears, baby. Let's go.
I'm telling you, something, I don't know which one it is, but something you do not expect from your hidden is going to pump one day. You just don't know what it is, but yeah.
We should look through the hidden folder one day and just see. No, I don't want to show my hidden folder live on here.
Like a Secret Santa for the NFT industry, like what's that elephant gift where you're supposed to give a prank gift to your friends or whatever? You can give one NFT from your hidden folder, and we'll see who accidentally gives away the $100,000 in 5 years.
Amazing. Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, I've stopped like hiding stuff in my hidden folder. Like my main folder has just become my hidden folder, and my hidden folder is like my extra garbage. So
yeah. What's up, Cambo? We missed you too.
Yeah, man, good to see you back here. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going live on here. What's up, Gizbo? GM. All right, let's just let's jam on some Grateful Undead.
Nice.
Genuine Undead. Yeah, my bad. Man,
you should make that collection quickly. Just clone them and put them in tie-dye colors.
Yeah, the Grateful Undead. That's the Cheech and Chong version of the Genuine Undead.
If anybody listening does that idea, you owe this show a percentage of that mint. I'm telling you right now. That's a winner. Grateful Undead.
All right. Well, right now, floor price sitting at 0.85. This was one that Dirty Milk had been kind of sounding the alarms on back for quite some time. He just said there was something about it that he really liked, and the art is good. It's cool quality pixel art. The only thing that I find weird about it is just that like the background is gradient and not pixel, but like I don't know, whatever. That's nitpicking, I think, at this point. On a run though, like it's up 500% in the last month. So if you were around listening to Dirty Milk about a month ago, you would have been able to pick these up for an absolute steal. But they seem to just be rolling along. And I mean, I'm trying to decipher what this is. It's a community project, right? Like it just exists.
His milk is dirty, but his picks are not.
No, he's had some great ones in the past.
Yes.
They're always like, hey, check this out. I think this could be good. And then like a month later, like it's like if you're not always, but like he's really good at seeing those ones that like will have a bit more of an extended time period, but always go on these crazy runs. What was the other one? Was it the something not Chain Runners or Satoshi Runners? There was another one. It was a while ago.
Yes.
But like it went absolutely bonkers.
It was Chain Runners or Satoshi Runners, I thought. It was one of
Chain Runners sucks. No, we were bullish on Chain Runners. That's the that sucks. I don't know.
No, that's
that a
Chain Scouts. That's Chain Scouts.
Oh, Chain Scouts. Yeah, maybe it was Chain Runners then. Oh,
it was
God.
Yeah. Then there was like Scout Runners. You know, look, I don't know if people know this. There were a lot of similar projects during the bull run. Creativity was not necessarily in a bull run. The number of projects there were certainly.
Yeah, well, we rewarded it, unfortunately.
Shit, I'm ready to reward it again. Bring me back. All I'm asking Santa for Christmas this year is another Ponzi cycle. Please, just please, one more.
I'm not one of those people that say we all need to die.
Which is another one that is probably a month away from coming back. It keeps seeing these little bumps. We are all going to die.
I was like, what did I just say?
Very bullish project.
Gizbo, it's Dirty Milk, but he does it. This is all normally going down in the DGen dojo or
Gizbo. How much he charge you for those chests? Gizbo is the chest master of the Ether Orcs game. So
is it?
When you go to open your chest, you go to old Gizbo.
I swear to God, I'll take profits this time. Yeah. Oh, fuck. I've said that a couple times too. I mean, I've loaded my bags with some long bets that like I do have price targets in mind that I will start scaling out, but I've taken positions such that I actually can do it. Like we've talked about so many times. It's hard to do it with 3 NFTs, right?
If you have the level head to say I'm going to take profit, we're not in a bull market. There's no
Not in a
profit.
bull market or a bear market?
Because when we are in the bull market, the ability to have a level head will not be there, because you will sell the first.
Yeah. True.
You'll be very disciplined.
It could go higher. Why couldn't this be the next Bored Ape?
Here's what's going to happen. The next bull market's going to come, and you are going to be the most disciplined, conservative trader you've ever seen. You're going to hit cooks. You're going to be like, this is what I've always wanted to do. Then you're going to mint some project that you sell for a great triple, and your friend just decides to hold the 9 that he minted. Then it's going to turn into a Zuki. It's going to go to 35 ETH, and it's going to ruin your psyche. Then you're going to start holding things because, oh man, if I had just held that last one, it went to 35 ETH. Then you're going to be around the middle of the cycle, and you'll have given some back. You'll have gained some. You'll be like, all right, I messed up by doing the wrong thing initially, and then I messed up by doing the right thing, but at least I haven't lost it all. And then you're right there in the middle. Now then from there, ... It's all up to you. It's all up to you.
I'm not sure if that was inspiring or depressing. Gonna swallow shotgun if that happens. Gambo, don't do that.
It was unabashed truth. It is how the human psyche works. Now that you know it, ideally your brain won't do that. But if it does, and you get to that middle point, realize it. We'll have our talk, man. Don't worry. I'll still be here. We'll have the talk. We'll figure out where we are.
Great news.
The market is a journey of self. It has nothing to do with what's going on out there. All that shit out there is noise. You're here to learn you. That's what the market is.
About an hour into the show. Great news. The markets haven't tanked.
No, they're near the highs of the day. They were slightly higher, but boy, it's a very bullish thing when you rally on bad news. I'm going to try to emphasize that. It is I love so there is something called 0 DTE options in futures now, which are 0 days till expiration. As an example, on Thursday, the 3650 0 DTE calls were 5 cents after the CPI number came out. The market tanked. We were down 3%. We were so far away from 3650 that those options were selling for a nickel. By the end of the day, the market had hit 3,700, and those options that were 5 cents were worth $50 each. And that would be in 5 hours.
1,000x?
Yeah. Okay. So people think the traditional market doesn't have the juice of the crypto market. Well, thanks to the CME, shout out to the homies in Chicago. You now do. Go check out 0 DTE options on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Make sure to click the link in the bio so we get the commission on that show.
I know. We need an affiliate. We need an affiliate account.
Affiliate links for everything. Like, check out this lovely globe I have here. You can buy it too on Amazon.
Now, I will caution. I have found the best way to use these options is you buy them about an hour before the market opens. You sell them during the opening range, and then the next play with them comes later in the day. You do not fuck around with these things between like 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. These are early day mechanisms. Now, if you're a big brain and you think you figured out the next 200 points up in the S&P and you want to take a directional bet with futures options, okay. But if we're talking about like the best way to play these, it's in the opening range and in the closing hours. So yeah, little advice there. More nuanced than that, but that's your general overview.
What a time to be alive.
Boy, they have binary options now on the state. You can just be like, I'm going to bet that the NASDAQ is going to close above this level. And it doesn't matter where it does or how it does. It's like those binary bets you can make on the betting sites. Like, what were those betting sites you could bet on? Presidents and politics and pop culture events. And,
that's just the gambling sites. You can do everything.
Yeah.
Pop bets.
Yeah. No, it's a great time to trade.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that site was. I never did any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get that degen.
I do want to just finish up with Cowabunga there and say certainly a possibility. I'm of you. You mentioned after we talked that if you had to guess next year something breaks in traditional finance, similar
Hold
to
on, let me pull
how
up.
PAC broke for crypto. I don't believe the problems we have now are systemic. That does not mean that all the asymmetries are not happening in systemic institutions like bonds. I do not believe this is a 2008 moment. Now, there is a theory that when we have periods like we're having now, you must sacrifice someone to the market gods. In crypto, that was 3AC and Celsius. And in traditional finance, some people thought the other Credit Suisse was going to be that sacrifice. And it was what was going to crash the market and it was going to default and go out and blah, 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 blah. I don't think we're going to have that. This, in my opinion, this is a bear market within a secular bull market. I do not think it was the end of the secular bear market. I could be wrong. I'm a trader and will adjust my views as reality unfolds. I'm still of the belief that this is a bear within a secular bull, and that that is how it's going to play out, where we're not going to break systemically, and we're not going to see another 30 or 40% down from here. But next year, if that did happen, you are correct. That would be an unknown. That could definitely have coins take out their lows or stock markets go below 3,000. So we'll be on the lookout. I am of the belief we will avoid systemic contagion this time around. You'll get your systemic contagion in the 30s. For now, I think we're okay.
The 30s?
Yeah, the 30s. That next decade that's coming up on us. So I think that the S&P 500 is going to actually rally up to at least 4,200, if not 4,400 over the next 6 months. Then it crashes again, Cambo. So,
did you see Brian Armstrong sold 10% of his stock?
Oh, no.
Coinbase.
Did he?
Yeah.
He may have been forced to.
No, he's using it to fund. Why can't I refresh now?
A competing exchange?
Yeah, he's buying FTX.
That'd be classic crypto.
No, he's using it to fund life extension research. Because 2%, not 10%. Sorry, 2%.
Yeah. If you guys want to know how good it is being rich, understand that the guys that become as rich as Brian Armstrong, they start devoting their lives to life extension research. And understand that's because they don't want the party to end.
Right.
They're like, the only thing that can take me down now is death. We got to solve that.
But that technology starts to trickle down, right? Like, it does.
Yeah. Yep. But
you know that? Have you seen the movie Elysium with Matt Damon?
Don't remember if I did. I remember it. It's not where he goes to Mars, is it?
No, that's The Martian.
Oh, okay.
No, Elysium is like this dystopic future where like everybody on Earth is just like slaving away for the corporate overlords, but like the quality of life on Earth has just gone to like pretty much zero, while all of the rich people live on this gigantic space station, like living like absolute gods, and like they have no disease, they don't age, they have the technology to cure all of that, but they just don't give it to anybody there. I'm always just like, how do I make enough money to make it onto Elysium when the time comes?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This is like my life goal, right? Like, how do I get there? Seems like a lot better. No, it's every good movie though.
A common conversation in New York is, what's your number? Right? What's your number? Everyone has, well, I mean, I suppose people have this conversation in crypto all the time, but what's your number where you would stop doing what you're doing right now? It's interesting. I don't know. Right? I can't tell how much of this is compulsive gambling and how much of it is just the passion that I have in life for this type of thing. I will only know when I've hit my number. Because once you've hit your number, you have the right to go fuck off the rest of your life. You can do whatever you want,
I'm
right?
still trying to hit
If,
$0.
if you still choose to do, in my case, come in and opine about I look at Jim Cramer, right? He made hundreds of millions in his hedge fund. He doesn't need to be on CNBC making a few million a year. Everyone likes money, but he's not doing that because he wants the money or needs the money. He's doing it because he loves doing it. It's what he's good at.
I bet he's making more than a few million a year.
I think $5 million was his salary.
Really?
For CNBC. Again, just specifically to go on CNBC, not all the other stuff.
You've done your research, yeah. He is correct.
See, I am a big fan of Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer, who was arguably going towards obsolescence, has become famous again thanks to crypto Twitter, because crypto Twitter loves to play the contra game. Like, oh, you do the opposite of everything Jim Cramer says. I will tell you, I've been watching this man a long time. He's a fabulous stock picker. And if your ass was made to go on TV every single day and comment on every micro move that the market makes, you'd have a lot of contradicting sound bites too. I'm sure he's had some awful calls. He's also had some fucking fabulous calls. And I think net, what he does it is to be commended. I think he educates people, and I think he was doing what he obviously loves doing. So it's nice to watch somebody working with that passion. I like Jim.
I don't know. I never watch him.
Well, I mean, do they even have CNBC up in Canada?
No, we just have the CBC up here, eh? Frickin' A.
Well, in England, it's illegal to do like financial news the way that we do it here. It would be considered like shilling stocks on TV or whatever, right? Like, they're always surprised we have something like CNBC here. Like, you can do that? Like, there are people just hawking shit on TV? Like, yep. God bless America, baby. I'll even say this. I think that if you work hard enough to become the Speaker of the House of the United States of America, you should have the right to insider trade. This is not North Korea, okay? These people work their ass. I want to see your ass become Speaker of the House. If you can become Speaker of the House, be my guest in inside trade on all the information.
Perfect. Well, on that note. All right, we're going to wrap this up now, though. It is an hour and 15 minutes in. Nice Monday, though. It looks like a nice day out there. I don't know if New York is the same way, but I mean, I love this weather. I get to pull the hoodies out. I love hoodies. I don't know.
Well, either the jinx is over or the market would be up twice as much had we not come on the air. So either our jinx is done.
like we are still pulling it down, but like
we're still it's up. It would just be up twice as much had we not come on the air. It's either that or the curse is done. So I feel good about it.
It's a new week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Monday morning and spending the last hour with Free Market and myself. This has been episode 154 of the AM show. Just a reminder to all of you fine folk, we'll be going live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And we just kind of do this. We talk about basically whatever we want to talk about and just see where the conversation goes. And always love hearing comments in the chat, because we've had so many times in the past where just like a great conversation is just spun out of a little comment or a point or an idea that one of you guys share. And it's honestly more fun like that regardless. So looking forward to being back on Monday. I do like to just ask at the end of the show, if you guys are still kicking around and you haven't, please hit the like button on this episode. It does help us grow the YouTube channel, which we are trying to do, and we're going to try and do that through a little bit more consistency in doing the show. And of course, Drip Cult, Dirty Milk, and myself are doing the Exit Liquidity, which is not live, but you can go check out those recordings as well. It's been fun to get them on the camera and talk some more NFTs with them. So one last time, thank you again. And Free Market, thank you for your time. Take us out of here.
Good luck at the tables, D-Gen.